let's bring on our fearless leader here at the Game Theory Podcast.
Here's the funny thing. I'm about to give Karl Anthony Towns a whole lot of love after I just said what I said.
So that's where I do want to start this, though. The Knicks win this game 118-116. Some just banana land bullshit at the end of this game. Like no other way to phrase it. Like the scorers table in Detroit like rings the bell early before anybody touches the ball to get the Pistons a chance at an out.
For what it hold on. For what it's worth, the broadcast said that it's not Detroit's.
No, it's neutral. It's like a neutral.
It's a neutral, totally.
Yeah. Which makes the fake conspiracy even funnier that the league wanted to give this a chance. So
we were pretty upset on playback tonight over at Knicks Film School, watching it live. I was counting my,
Okay, so here's my question. Has anybody watched the officials though? Because my understanding is if maybe somebody out there that does the clock would tell me, you just watch the official. Like you're not supposed to watch the game for the clock. You watch the official's hand signal. But I don't know if that happens on a missed free throw. I know for a fact it does on an inbounds. On an inbounds, the official will raise his hand, and whenever the ball's touched, then they like do it. Maybe this isn't an NBA thing though. Maybe this is just like small school, Kansas high school. I don't know. But so I wondered if the official actually messed up and the scorekeeper was actually doing what they're supposed to, watching the official.
I'm pretty confident in saying this was human error. And now that it's pretty clear that it wasn't like to give advantage to the Pistons. It was just, I mean, as we start to talk about the game, Bryce, the intensity was at an all-time high from the opening tip.
Yeah.
And when I saw the finish line from a fan, from a content creator, from a analyst, fanalist, whatever perspective, I saw the finish line, and then suddenly a wild Tim Hardaway Jr. 3 off a jump ball, a 3 from Tobias when the Knicks were like, don't contest, and Jalen Brunson just decides, I'm going to miss this last free throw for no reason with 0.5 left, understanding that like the clock would have run out. I would have rather like not had to depend on the scorekeeper, I guess the time clock keeper, to end that game. But it was an exhilarating game, and I know my team came out on top, but that was an experience.
Well, let's kind of talk about what happened in this game. So I felt like this was the best that the Knicks have played in this series. They obviously win game 1 as well, but from beginning to end, outside of like a little stretch in the like early second quarter, where if I remember correctly, the Pistons got out to like a 4-point lead or so, this felt like the most controlled and balanced that the Knicks have played. And that balance to me starts on offense. In game 2, particularly, we talked about the fact that they went way too far toward like the Jalen Brunson, heliocentric creation ideal, right? But in this game, literally first shot is like a trailer Karl Towns 3 or like a pick and pop. I can't remember what it was. Third play was a, let's see here. I have it in my notes. It was a Karl Towns close out where he attacks it, drives, draws a foul. Fourth possession, another trailer 3 for Towns, right? So clear that they made a concerted effort to get Karl Towns involved. It wasn't just Towns. Like they did a great job of balancing. Okay, we're going to run some ball screens with Towns. We're going to run a couple of ball screens with Towns and Brunson, actually, which is something that I felt like they didn't do a whole lot of in game 2. There were a couple of like pick and pop opportunities, a couple of heavy closeout chances where Towns was able to get to the rim off of those actions. But more than that, it just felt like the ball movement was crisper. They had a bunch of like swing, corner 3, swing, up to the wing. Wing 3 for Bridges, right? It just felt a lot more balanced, a lot more polished. And I think that more than anything is ultimately the reason why they won. We all know that the Knicks have more talent than the Pistons do. I felt like they played up to that talent tonight for the first time in the series.
Go ahead, Bryce.
No, I mean, I agree. We talked about it. Me and GMAC talked about it. Me and Knicks Fan TV talked about it. It really was, what was the Karl Anthony Towns response? GMAC brought up something interesting, which was, would it be, I think this was you, would they overcompensate, right? Would they go too far the other way in terms of, would they emphasize Cat too much? There were a couple times I was like, yeah, I would like a little more Jalen Brunson right now if I'm the New York Knicks. But eventually he got his and he ended up with another 30-point game. It was funny because I called it inefficient on my live stream. And then I looked at the stats. I was like, oh, well, I sound stupid because it was actually on 20 shots. He just didn't make any threes. He made a bunch of free throws, made some mid-range jumpers, had 1 turnover, 7 rebounds, 9 assists. I would say that's probably pretty efficient. So I had to backtrack that one real fast, GMAC.
I watched your recap, by the way.
God bless you.
Yeah. well, a different, as opposed to Knicks Film School, who got off the air maybe 5 minutes before Game Theory started. You gave me a nice 33-minute recap. I was like, oh yeah, I could do that. That's easy. Why not? Guys, I don't know if you know this. I found this out tonight. Did you know the Knicks traded for Karl Anthony Towns? Did you know that like it's apparently effective if you do a pick and roll with him and Jalen Brunson? Like it actually leads to good offense. I had no idea that that's a thing you can do. I thought if you put a wing like a Tobias Harris type, let's just call him. Let's just go there. If you put that on a Karl Anthony Towns, then he just like can't be brought into the action at all, because how dare we try to bring Tobias Harris into the action? Oh, or I don't know, do a post touch with Karl Anthony Towns and see if he could score on Tobias Harris. Oh, excuse me, a Tobias Harris type. And we have to bring Josh Hart into every action, especially in crunch time. This was what a lot of Knicks fans, a lot of Knicks voices have been asking for since January 2nd, because Fred Katz put out a great research article in The Athletic this week. You guys brought voice to it on your recap of Game 2, and we've been yelling about it since they played the Thunder on January 3rd, and the OKC put Jalen Williams on him, and the Knicks just did not give the ball to Cat in crunch time. It happened when they played the Rockets and they had Dylan Brooks on him. It happened when they played the Lakers and they put LeBron on him, and Cat wasn't touching the ball in crunch time, and you saw it in Game 2. And what did we see tonight? Hey, Cat, we're going to let you get a ton of touches, not just in the first quarter, but in the fourth quarter in crunch time. He had, I mean, it was hit or miss because you're not going to make everything, but he had one of the sweetest baseline moves to put them up 8. And then, like, not the perfect defensive game from Karl Anthony Towns, but solid. He's been plenty of moments, especially when the moment where Cade quite literally crosses OG Anunoby's ankles and looks like he has a layup. Now, upon further review,
I think that's just on Cade.
I think he lost the ball, but I also think he was expecting Cat to go one way and he went the other.
He felt Cat. I'm not trying to take away from Cat, because Cat was in the right position doing everything he could in that situation. I think Cade felt his contact. He had 2 really good verticality contests late in this game, like, to be clear. That one, I think, like, that move was sick. Yeah. And he had the crowd oohing and ahhing. And then I think Cade just kind of lost the ball. But to your point, he may have not expected Cat to get there or whatever, and may have surprised. I do want to point this out, though. Please. Because even with Tobias on him, I still think the thing that stood out and got him aggressive from the start was the trail 3-point attempts. And that had been missing in this series. And I kept pushing back at people that's like, well, it's Tobias on him, so it's going to take that away. And I'm not talking about you. I'm actually talking about on my own podcast. I'm like, I don't know that I believe that. You're telling me Tobias Harris is so good closing out, he can keep Karl Anthony freaking Towns from shooting 3, 4, 5. I should start at 3, 4, 5 3-point attempts per game. So this team, Detroit, sucks in transition against stretch bigs. And it showed up finally tonight. So I do want to point that out, that I thought that was an important part of what seemed like the game plan for New York, was to find him in that trail 3-point position.
Of his 18 field goal attempts tonight from Karl Anthony Towns. 14 were taken with more than 14 seconds left on the shot clock. He was,
interesting.
To your point, that seems to be an effort. He took a ton of trailing the trailer threes. I was just so happy to see the offense get run through him. There were times where he found the open man when they doubled. Jalen Brunson being off ball has always been a thing I hope they do more of. They did a ton of it last year, whether it was off of Randall, off of Hartenstein. And that was, and yet they still only won by 2 points, because that was a thrilling experience in the LCA with them giving him the Trae Young treatment that they did to Jalen Brunson. That was incredible.
Well, and a couple of things stand out to me too. What the idea of running like Brunson Towns ball screens does, if they start to like really get rolling, is it makes the Pistons adjust for what feels like to me the first time in the series, right? They actually adjusted to playing Jalen Duren on him at times. And that was just like, I mean, Bryce, I don't know how you feel about this, but I thought it was like truly catastrophic.
Well,
I don't know. Is Bryce going to say it? What happened? Go ahead, Bryce.
But part of that was because Tobias Harris got in foul trouble. And so, yeah. So, and then there was also just like some cross matches at times too, where Duren ended up on him when
100%.
So, but you're right. It's not a great matchup because Cat can.
He has no chance when he's attacking a closeout. Like genuinely, just zero shot.
And then you add in that for the first 7 minutes and 12 seconds of the third quarter, when they switched Jalen Duren onto Karl Anthony Towns, you know how many times they ran a Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns pick and roll? That would be 0. They decided to go away from that offense for the entire start of the third quarter, and we're yelling like, Cat's being guarded by his center. We've been waiting for this since game 1. What is happening?
So I will say this.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's, you could pick and pop him to death, right? Like you can just pick and pop Jalen Duren to death.
Spam it.
You also can run like a ball screen and try and get penetration and then kick out to Towns and make Duren close out on him, which is just not going to work.
It's not
going to go well. So like, yes, I agree with you. Like there are different ways to do it, but like they didn't do that either. You're not wrong. On the other end of the court, and I think this is where we do want to like focus on the Pistons for a minute. I thought their plan of attack was outstanding. I mean, the way that they just ran Brunson off of everything, especially in the first half, like there's a reason Tim Hardaway Jr. went off in this game, especially early on. And it was because they had Brunson on him and they just decided, okay, we are going to run Brunson off of every action. He got caught on a ton of screens, and particularly what they did, the Pistons, they came out very early and ran a ton of guard to guard actions, which I thought was awesome. I thought it was super, super sharp to try and just get Brunson involved. The way the Knicks guarded it, early on, especially, was they would try and like show like a soft like hedge almost with Brunson. And it just led to like this little momentary confusion where you let Cade's brain be able to like process things just a little bit quicker than what the defense was defending it. Right. And, they're playing like, not soft hedging. They're mostly dropping and switching and doing different things depending on who's in the action if it's not Brunson. But I thought it was so interesting to watch that cat and mouse game, and I'm interested to see how much more they continue to go down that road of just relentlessly attacking Brunson throughout the rest of the series.
No, I mean, it was the first action of the game. They brought Brunson into the action with Tim Hardaway Jr., knowing that the Knicks don't want to switch Brunson onto him. So Brunson hedged out a little bit. Tim Hardaway Jr. flared off of it. And then whatever was supposed to happen was either catch an immediate ball screen, or I'm assuming actually Duren was going to set a flare, making Brunson then try to navigate that. I think Hardaway Jr. ended up shooting a mid-range pull-up, which I didn't necessarily love. But to your point, from the opening action, Detroit tried to go to that. I will still say New York is not putting 2 on the ball enough, in my opinion. They should just trap Cade every single time. I don't think Detroit has. They figured it out a little bit in the second half. They finally, Duren got some rolls and some stuff like that. But so
to me, Bryce, the adjustment there is if they start to trap Cade every time, it becomes hard, because if you run guard to guard or like Cade Asar ball screens, okay, if it's guard to guard, then it's just pick and pop with THJ, right? And that becomes hard. And he's probably going to make a decent number of those shots, or, they maybe send an early, rotation up from the corner or something, and then he just shoots it down to the corner, right? And that's probably going to be Tobias Harris if you align the court properly in these actions, which look, we've talked about Pistons court alignment with these guys all year, but there's a way to adjust to it, in my opinion. And then if it's Ausar, you just short roll him, and Ausar should be able to make decisions off of those things. So there are moments where any Cade Duran ball screen should just immediately be blitzed, in my opinion. That's what I would want to do. But any of these other guard to guard actions, I actually think it's a little bit harder to blitz those than what, the ideal would be.
I understand. It's just I would make Ausar make 10 6-foot jumpers then. Fine, you want to short roll Ausar, make a jump shot. I'm staying home on everybody else, and you're going to make a one dribble 10-foot jump shot. Or I'm going to leave Ausar standing in the corner and rotate off. I'm a little surprised it hasn't been more aggressive, I guess. Whenever Detroit has as many non-shooters on the floor as they do at times.
Ausar only played 9.5 minutes in the first
He
half.
was
that.
It looked to me like JB lost trust in him. He looked a little out of sorts. I didn't think he was playing well in the first half. I thought he had a good third quarter and bounced back. Some Pistons fans are pretty frustrated with it. I get it because it is data collection for Detroit and not solely about winning the series.
For what it's worth, I just do not believe JB Bickerstaff thinks that way.
Yeah. What's that?
That it's about data collection.
Oh yeah, no, I don't think JB does either. JB's trying to win the series. I mean, I literally put it in my notes. It looked like JB lost confidence in him in the first half. And and
the other piece of this too is you can put Schroeder on the court for him, and Schroeder is actually playing really, really well.
Schroeder's been awesome. Schroeder, that's the thing. Schroeder's been awesome so far.
So that's what I wanted to get into, because the Knicks started with Brunson on Ausar, and that's how they were able to somewhat hide him. They were daring him to get involved in the offense. And then once Tim Hardaway Jr. was going off and having a good shooting night, and then once they went and took Ausar off the court and it was Schroeder instead, there's nowhere to hide Jalen Brunson. And that's what Mitch, you see what go to their most effective offense for the night, the Pistons. And that wasn't even Cade really orchestrating anything. It was the two veterans in Schroeder and Tim Hardaway Jr. just not missing in the first half. The stretch in the second quarter when the Knicks went on that 21-3 run, you mentioned that the Knicks aren't blitzing enough and aren't doubling Cade enough. I thought they tapped into something. I don't know how sustainable it was, but they put Bridges onto Cade and let Anunoby kind of roam a little bit, and Bridges was good enough. They showed him recovered when they needed to. But more specifically, it led to defense into offense too. They got out and got some turnovers, got some stops, got the transition, and that was the stretch. I was like, oh, did we tap into something? Are you able to now guard him with more than just OG Anunoby? Not shut him down, but just respectfully guard him. So that way you can. Because that's the other thing is when OG Anunoby's playing off of Cade, that Dennis Schroeder stuff went away. The Tim Hardaway Jr. stuff went away, and they were able to have someone off ball be more successful.
So my issue with that though is you just stop using ball screens and just let Cade attack Mikal one-on-one, and B, during that run, I mean, Malik Beasley, it felt just missed 4 threes or something. And at some point he's going to shoot. Maybe not, he has struggled in the playoffs previously, but at some point he's going to start making open threes. Right. And I'm not saying that they're getting unlucky as a team shooting wise. Cause like you said, Tim and Dennis went crazy tonight and they shot the shit out of the ball. But I did feel from a process perspective, it was just okay, Malik Beasley's just missing threes now. This is the reality. And that 21-3 run was, it could have been a 21-10 run. You know what I mean? They outplayed them during that stretch, but there were avenues for this to look different.
I don't disagree. I also think the stretch we saw from Tim Hardaway Jr. was not, like you said, it evened out that Tim Hardaway Jr. didn't miss, and Malik Beasley couldn't make one. I also want to give Josh Hart some credit. He did all the Josh Hart things that you need when they're just ignoring you on the floor. Go ahead, Bryce.
I'm starting to get real pissed at Knicks fans for their Josh Hart hate.
Yeah.
Like, it makes me really mad because I love Josh Hart. And I'm joking. Knicks fans, please don't yell at me.
No, he means it. And it's annoying. It's very annoying that they turned me on Josh Hart at times this year. Go ahead, Bryce. Go ahead.
He makes winning play. Here's what he makes. He makes momentum plays every single game. There's a momentum cut. There's a momentum transition. There's a momentum offensive rebound. Every single game he does something. I realize there's limitations. You know whose job it is to control his limitations? Your head coach. Mm-hmm. It's his job that if they need more floor spacing to sub him out and get somebody else in. But that ain't 48 minutes of even a playoff game. And so if they want to be mad at somebody, be mad at Tibbs that he doesn't only play him 28 minutes or 30 minutes as opposed to 41. That's not Josh Hart's fault, GMAC.
And that's what we've tried to make the conversation be about
Sure.
at Film School with Josh Hart. He's not underperforming. He's being overexposed.
I think that's
there's a 30-minute version of Josh Hart that is outstanding. It's why if Mikal Bridges had played a little better this season, then you could probably give more confidence to Tibbs that I could play Josh 7 fewer minutes and maybe actually play a truer 5-out. It's honestly why I very much miss Dante DiVincenzo, because that's the actual 5-out guy that you'd want. But I say all of that just to bring up the 21-3 run. I'd have to go back and rewatch it, but it seemed like all of Malik Beasley's 3-point attempts were being met with a very good Josh Hart closeout. And then cat rebound, Josh is out in transition, we're out in scoring. And their starting 5 that's been much maligned, especially during the playoffs, played really well tonight, which helps because they got 9 bench points. So
yeah. I mean, look, this game was almost the outside of the defense being, not amazing. Like, they give up 116 to a Detroit team that's middling on offense, right? I thought this game was in a lot of ways, though, like the ideal of what Leon Rose and this, group tried to build in the offseason. Like, all 4 of these guys, Brunson, Towns, Anunoby, and Bridges go for 20 plus. They all shoot the ball reasonably well. Like, Brunson, I think, went 9 of 20, but got to the free throw line a ton. You saw the spacing from the wings. You saw the ability for Towns to be a significant mismatch problem. You saw Brunson being able to create and be able to play both on and off ball. I think it was basically just the pristine ideal of what they had hoped for. Now, the thing is that, Bridges has to play like this again, and they have to continue to find the right balance offensively, which is what they haven't found throughout the course of this series up until now. But I was very impressed with their overall performance. This was the most complete game that they played in the postseason among their 3 games so far. Defensively, I didn't even hate the defense. It's just that, the Pistons on some level just made shots, right? Like, the Pistons go 16 of 37 from 3 and drill 43%. The couple of things for me now to watch for in this series is A, can you keep finding the Towns mismatches? And B, and Bryce, you might be able to speak to this better than I can, certainly. What does this look like if Isaiah Stewart comes back? Because that's the big Pistons adjustment that can come, is if he can play at some point. Now, Bryce, I don't know what his status is. Do you?
I haven't talked to Amari about it. And usually when I do ask Amari, it's like, he tells me he knows as much as what's being reported. I know it was questionable up to a certain point today. And then, it wasn't even like a game time decision. Like, my understanding, it's not like he went through a workout during pregame or anything like that. It's starting to make me a little nervous whether we're going to see him or not. And he would have been huge tonight with the foul trouble to both Tobias Harris and Jalen Duren, with all due respect to the Paul Reed minutes tonight.
Again, I thought Paul Reed played well. It's just that the defense is he's great from an energy perspective. Yeah. He does bring that. It is just really, though, that the defense is not the same.
He also gave up an offensive rebound put back to Mitch Robb because he simply is half the size of Mitchell Robinson and legitimately couldn't box him out. And so, yeah, it's Isaiah Stewart would be huge. It's frustrating because, again, data collection, I've tried to pitch that Isaiah Stewart was going to be a really important playoff contributor for this team if and when that happened. And now we're not getting a chance to actually see it when they are in the playoffs.
It's interesting the perspectives of like and I don't even fault it because I like the phrase data collection, and like win or lose, the Pistons need to collect as much data about this core as possible. And here in New York, it's like, no, this is a desperation series. This isn't about we're not collecting any data. Like people will lose their jobs if they lose this series, and they eke out a 2-point win with the scorekeeper and human error, I will say, potentially giving the Pistons one more shot to win the game.
I thought what today's game really showed was what we talked about before the series, GMAC. The Pistons don't have a consistent second scorer. They're doing it by committee. Right now, it's been Dennis Schroeder, and it's been a great trade deadline addition that Trajan Langdon made. And that's great. Dennis Schroeder isn't Karl Anthony Towns.
No.
And listen, we don't need to get into who's the best player in this series and all of that. At the end of the day, the Knicks have 4 of the top 5, and that's an issue. That's ultimately the talent gap here, which I think is actually a huge compliment to what Detroit has done through 3 games. The fact that they're only down 2-1 and lost this game by only 2 and would have stole game 1 if there wouldn't have been the 21-0 or whatever it was fourth quarter.
So if I can ask you before we wrap this part of the pod and maybe the pod in general, from the temperature check you got from the Pistons fans in your post game, how are they feeling about game 4 on Sunday?
Yeah, I think there's still confidence. I will tell you this. I was doing that solo, and so trying to read the comments while speaking the entire time was proven to be really difficult
experience.
Yeah, I had to be like, Wes, you're just going to star whatever you think I want to talk about and then throw it up on the screen when you think I want to talk about it. But it seemed like the vibes were still okay. There was the Duren inbound pass was frustrating for people.
Can we talk about that? Because I wanted to bring that up real quick.
Okay. Yeah.
I actually think JB has coached like a pretty good series. I have no real I've nitpicks on things that I think differently, right? Like that's okay. But I think he's coached a pretty good series so far. I think Tibbs, like outside of the game 2 stuff, has been fine. Like this is a series that's just super physical and tough and tight, right? The most insane coaching decision I think I've seen of the entire playoffs is Jalen Duren inbounding that pass.
I don't have an answer. I tried to talk.
It's completely crazy, Bryce.
Yeah, I tried to talk through it because. So I guess there is some credence to Mitchell Robinson being on the ball or whatever, but so
why do you not want Duren right at the rim as a potential lob idea? So I
disagree with that. I don't think you're throwing it to Duren to score no matter what. If anything, you're using him as a screener. I also vehemently. I aggressively disagree that Cade should have been inbounding the ball because I saw that from some people.
Agree with that too.
I don't agree with that.
0.5.
The only thing I can think of is in the moment, JB got a little bit caught up and said, I want my 4 best scorers to all be options on this. I don't even want to call it a play because I don't think there was actually a play run. Is the only thing I can think of. I'm not trying to defend it. I'm trying to get in his mind to think of what might have been going through his mind.
Just a question here in general, like we're assuming that you can't change, like you can't sub, right?
That was said on the broadcast. Based on what happened, neither team was allowed to sub in that situation. So that is it, which is very important to make note of. I don't think Duren would be an option in that situation. I also think having him inbound is just crazy. Like, just tell him to let him go set a screen for Cade Cunningham, right? Like, let Tobias throw it in, or
you said that like you'd rather him screen than like go to the rim. Why can't he do both?
Sure,
He can screen and then run to the rim, and like if you're at 4 seconds on your internal clock, then
throw it up.
You throw the ball. Right. Sure. And then you want your tallest guy there to be an option. So it was just like completely batshit to me. Like I had no idea what that was.
He also screwed up a really kind of important jump ball situation against Jalen Brunson, where he just like tipped the ball all the way out of bounds. And it was funny because I can't effing stand NBA jump ball because they take 2 minutes to line up. And I think it's the most ridiculous thing ever. Everybody who hates the alternate possession, I'm like, well, at least we get the ball in 12 seconds later. But I watched it get screwed up twice by guys who were going to win it easy. Edie got called for a foul on his against Lou Dort. It's like, you guys are going to win this. Just literally just tap it in. Just tap it in. Little tap.
I got to be real with you guys. This was a very good breakdown of the Jalen Duren turnover with 0.5 left. We were yelling on playback tonight, just so mad about the clock operator and giving them an out of bounds. I just completely crazy. I just looked up and it's like, oh, we have the ball back. Great. I was so mad.
So here's the thing.
All of us were pretty mad. Yeah.
I didn't even care about it because like it's not going to matter. They're not going to score here. So what does it matter? So
you are unfamiliar with our game in New York. If there's any team that could screw up a 0.5 defensive stop that they need, it's this team. Whether it be Mitchell Robinson getting a jump pump faked up into the air by Tyrese Maxey last year in the playoffs, which led to a 4-point play. Whether it's Josh Hart inbounding the ball to Jaren Jackson Jr. under his own basket, leading to a tie game and forcing overtime. Whether it be what I was afraid of tonight, which was Jalen Duren throwing it just the other direction and someone on the Knicks committing a foul, which would have led to 2 free throws. It's literally like a quarterback that can't complete a pass that just is going for pass interference. That's what I thought was going to happen. And then when I looked up and we got the ball back, I was like, oh, okay, came over. That works. Awesome.